I read it in Runner's World magazine. I read it in high school. I read it in college, on blogs. This is a giant piece of advice that you probably get often, and it is bad advice. Welcome to our training today. We're going to talk about the 6 worst pieces of advice that I ever got on my running. Now, I don't want to be just telling you like, poo, I got this advice and bad it was. Let's try to learn something from it, because some of this advice I thought was going to help my running, and I wouldn't give this advice out now. So let's dive into it. Here we go. Number 1 is pushing off with your toes will save you minutes in your running. I heard this when I was it was either 6th or 7th grade. I was in cross country and I had a lovely coach. She was great. She was my first running coach I ever had in my whole life. And during the walkthrough of one of our cross country courses, she told us that we should learn to push off with our toes. She literally said it. Runners have cut minutes off of their time by learning to push off with their toes. And I believed her. She believed her, because it makes sense, doesn't it? If you don't just like stop putting force into the ground and you like push off with your toe, you think that you're going to fly forward further and that you could run faster. It kind of makes sense until you understand that running is not about pushing forward off of the ground. That's not what running is. This is why you can run on ice. Running is a vertical jump as you fall forward, but the force you put into the ground is completely perpendicular to the ground. So you could maybe push off harder this way, but you're not pushing off like a bike or a car tire that like uses friction on the ground. That's not how your running works. So in short, don't do this. In fact, it would be far better to push off less with your toes and instead be quick on the ground. Just like punch the ground and get off the ground really quick. That's what sprinters do. You see Michael Johnson right there behind me, or Usain Bolt. And these guys are really fast and they're not pushing off with their toes. Their foot touches the ground and they're just like, it's like hot coals and they're just off it really quick. That's how you want to run faster. So that's myth number 1. Number 2, for worst advice I ever got. Now, this one's really bad, and that is put time in the bank. Time in the bank. This means that you're going to go out fast in your race. And if you find that you're ahead of whatever your goal pace is, it's a nice little buffer. So later on, you know you're going to die, especially in the marathon. I've heard this before from really intelligent people. I used to work at Dartmouth College with the sports medicine team, and they had this really amazing doctor that came in for the football team. He turned out to be a runner as well. So when we finished with football practice, he said to me, "Hey man, you want to go for a run?" And it was dark and it was cold. I didn't have running clothes, so I put on like the medical shorts, like running gown, and we went out for a run together. And he was training for his first marathon. And I remember him telling me that his goal was to put as much time in the bank as he can in the first half, because he's going to blow up in the second half. And I was like a young, dumb kid at the time. I think I was 21. And I remember even then thinking, that's not a good idea. And I only think that more these days. It's been my experience with my own running. It's been my experience watching elite runners. It's been my experience coaching all of you that the best strategy that you could possibly have if you want to maximize your running, really, maybe even more than your training. Now, training matters quite a bit, doesn't it? But once your race is getting 3 weeks away, 2 weeks away, 1 week away, race day, training is in the hay's in the barn, right? The most important thing you can do is pace it appropriately so that you have an even pace or a slightly negative split. A slightly positive split is okay, as long as it's not different. First half is not more than 2% different than the first half. So, but it is essentially, it's an even pace. Putting time in the bank is a great way to blow up. And in fact, it is my opinion that for any unit of time, we'll call it a minute, but it could be a second, any unit of time, in this case, a minute, that you go out too fast in your first half is going to cost you at least 2, if not 3 minutes in the back half. So putting time in the bank, if you're 10 minutes ahead, it's going to cost you, you're going to slow down those same 10 minutes plus 10 minutes. It's going to cost you 10 minutes on top of that. So not a good strategy. Don't put time in the bank. I know that we conceptually know this intellectually as runners. We kind of get that, but I challenge you to look at your race times and look, are you running a negative split? Even though you know this, until you're actually doing it, you have not mastered it. It is very difficult to run a negative split. And I applaud those of you who do, because it does take maturity to do that, to hold yourself back. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3 is caffeine pills. Probably none of you take a caffeine pill, probably, but maybe you take like caffeine in coffee or something like that. Now, I was in college on the track team, and I remember reading, I was studying sports medicine as well. And so I was doing some project or some class or something where I was looking at performance enhancers, non-illegal performance enhancers. And I read about caffeine and I read about pseudoephedrine, but I wasn't going to start taking Sudafed. So I looked at the research on caffeine. And in fact, caffeine actually can increase your performance in the sense that taking caffeine increases your ratio of fat metabolism to carbohydrate. So in a long distance race, like a marathon, you maybe want to shift your metabolism towards fat. It could be an actual performance enhancer. It could be. Here's the problem. First problem was that when I was doing this, I was running the 5,000 and the 10,000 meters in the steeplechase. You want to burn sugar like it's going out of style, sugar all day for an event like that, and then replenish and then race later. You don't need to tap into your fat stores at all if you're racing under 90 minutes. So for those of you who are half marathoners, 10K runners, it's all about sugar, baby. But here's another problem. I didn't know this at the time. I didn't like coffee. I didn't even have coffee when I was in college. I went to a gas station and I got no dose. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to try this out. And I ran a 5,000 meter race. And it was a hot day. It was very hot. And I took the caffeine and I ran the slowest race of my entire college career. And I was in shape. I also later this year set a PR and a school record in the 10,000. So I was like potentially doing better. And it was the slowest race of my entire college career. I ran like in 1820, I think it was. It was like a minute slower than I ran the 5K like the next week. And because of the caffeine, here's the kicker for you. Okay. There's a couple of negatives to it. But here's one that I don't often talk about. And that is that caffeine inhibits your ability to regulate the temperature of your core and of a working muscle. And when the temperature increases, that 100% limits your performance. When you're hot, you can't run as fast. We all know this through experience, but even localized, when you do like some bicep curls and you can't do one more bicep curl, the chief reason is because of the temperature inside of that muscle, which will go down really quick once you stop. But the temperature increase is the main reason. Also an acidic environment. Those are the two, but temperature increase is one of the reasons why you can't keep going. If your working muscles can't regulate their temperature, you will not perform well. And the caffeine inhibits your ability to do that. So caffeine, bad advice. It's not a performance enhancer unless maybe you're in a marathon or an ultra and it's cold outside. Maybe. All right. Number 4, I believe we are, is the 10% rule. 10% rule is something that I still see, even with high level runners. Everybody kind of like goes along with it. And here's the reason. 10% rule is I'm going to increase my mileage just 10% so that I don't increase it too much. And by doing only 10%, I'm going to avoid injury. And then every 4th week, I'm going to maybe chop it down and then go up again and chop it down. The problem is it's still way too fast. We need to just be more patient as runners, don't we? How many times have you found that patience is the fast way to get really good? Within a year or 2, you can get like so good with your running if you slow burn it. But if you try to really get good in like 2 or 3 months or something, you're going to get injured. You're going to burn out. It's kind of tough, right? So the 10% rule, here it is. If you start at 30 miles per week, a lot of runners are starting a training plan, maybe at less than that. But if you start at 30 miles per week and you follow an 18-week training plan, on week 18, you, my friend, have 152 miles per week. And if you're starting above this, 50 or 70, I mean, you're running so much mileage in just a couple of months because it compounds. So 10% rule is far too fast. It's better to either go much slower, but over a very long period of time, or you actually can jump up your mileage even more than 10%. I have a great runner right now who jumped from about 25 to 30 to 50, but we did it one jump. And we're not going to jump again. We're going to just stay there. So we have 8 months. We're going to jump that up. And then we're going to change the workouts and the intensity and strength training and nutrition. We're going to change all those other things. So you can do that, but you don't do it again. So 10% rule. We got 2 more to go. This is a giant piece of advice that you probably get often, and it is bad advice. And that is running is a high impact sport. Every time you hit the ground, you're hitting with 3 to 5 times your body weight. And so you want to have a nice cushioned shoe. Lots of cushion because your knees can get messed up and your hips can get messed up. We hear this narrative a lot, don't we? And it's kind of easy to believe. Well, I guess we do hit the ground with 3 to 5 times or even more our body weight. And that can't be good. So let's cushion it. And this is such a problem because when you add cushion to your shoe, you now let yourself land on your heel. You can land on your heel because you have cushion there. It doesn't hurt. If you take away the cushion, all the way down to no shoe whatsoever, you're not going to land on your heel because it would be excruciating. It would hurt. Your whole body would be jostling. It's no good. You would land on your midfoot. And when you land like that, you have all that nice elastic return, elastic cushion from your plantar fascia, from the splaying of your arch, all the way through your Achilles tendon and even your calf muscles. It's like a nice, it's so nice and cushiony when you land on your toes. When you land on your heel, boom, shock goes up. So when you add cushion to the shoe, you switch from landing on your forefoot to landing on your heel, and you actually get more impact. Counterintuitive, like a lot of things in life, right? But high cushion shoes, they have a place. Let's say an example in ultra marathon at the end, when you're going to land on your heels, maybe anyway, because you're just really fatigued. Well, you might as well, if you're going to land on your heels anyway, on a steep downhill or when you're really fatigued, then might as well have the cushion. So there is a place for these, but to have your general running shoes be high cushion, it's going to change your biomechanics for the worse. Okay. And finally, this one seems like such an innocent one at first until you get into nutrition. And that is, I've read this so many times that chocolate milk is the best recovery drink. I read it in Runner's World magazine. I read it in high school. I read it in college, on blogs. You see this everywhere. People say it because here's the idea behind it. It's got a lot of protein because it's milk, and it's got calcium and other electrolytes that you need, but it's also got the sugar, and you need the sugar to replenish the glycogen. But this is poor advice as well. It's very bad advice because dairy is not something you want to be consuming for recovery or at all in your life. You don't want to have dairy past your lips ever. It's not good for you. Where did the cow get its calcium? From eating plants. You can get your calcium from eating the plants. You don't need it for the protein. You'll get protein from eating bananas or greens or beans, whatever it is. You don't need it. It's actually detrimental. It's pro-inflammatory. It's got casein in it, which is a known carcinogen. It's got casomorphine in it, and it's got pus and blood in it and hormones. We don't need all these things. Yes, having a chocolate milk after a run is going to maybe like give you calories, and so it's going to feel good. And you actually, in the short term, you probably will recover better. But if you make this a habit, and it's just going to like hurt you throughout your life. So I don't recommend it. So I'll leave you with this. Instead of chocolate milk, I just went for a run and lifted weights this morning. I'm going to go for a run again after this. I put a teaspoon of cocoa. I believe this is 5 bananas and a teaspoon of flax meal. Oh, and I put a little bit of either date syrup or maple syrup, just for fun. And that's what's in here. So it's chocolate milk. And this is actually good for recovery because it's plant-based. It's alkalizing. It's very hydrating. I guess the chocolate milk might be too. It's high carb. And I still have protein. I have the amount of protein that I need as long as I have enough calories. So keep it carbed, baby. So to review really quick, those 6 were: don't push off with your toes. Don't try to put time in the bank. Caffeine pills or caffeine as a supplement, bad idea for muscle cooling. 10% rule is far too fast. Cushiony shoes is going to hurt your biomechanics. And let's not have dairy here because we know that it's not good for our recovery. It's not good for our health in general. It's not going to help you running. Hey, did you like that? Great. Then click the link below, put your name and email in, and for free, I'm going to share with you the 3 things that elite runners do that most runners don't. I'll see you on the inside. It's all about that sugar, baby.